Hello, everybody. This is Mrs. Ellsworth. Okay, what do you remember about adding expressions? So I'd like you to try this right now and have our sub go and pause this quickly. Okay, do you remember that one of the ways that we solved this was that you would go and stack them up? Since we're adding them, we just go and put negative 2x minus 3. That's our first one. Okay, and we're going to add it to a negative 3x plus 8. You know, since that this was a plus right here, since you're adding both these, I mean, you really don't have to worry about any kind of signs. You could even take off all of those parentheses and you could just add them up. But continuing this way where we stack them up, look at this. We've got a negative 2x plus a positive 3x, and a negative plus a negative makes a bigger negative. So it's going to be a negative 5x. Okay, now we've got an 8x and a negative 3x. Opposite signs. We've got 8 positives, 3 negatives. We're still going to have 5 more positives left. So there we go. We've got 5x plus 5. Okay. Now I'd like to do one more exercise. Okay. Remember, when you multiply things, you count the number of negatives. If it's an odd number of negatives, then your answer is going to be negative. So 1 times 3 then is 3. So negative 1 times 3 equals negative 3. So I'd like us to pause this quickly here, and I'd like you to finish all the rest of these, and let's check your work. So pause it, please. Okay, so negative 1 times 7 is a negative 7. Negative 1 times negative 9 is just 9. Negative 3 times a negative 1 is a positive 3. And a negative 5 times a negative 1 is a 5. Now I want you to just look at this carefully. Look at all the black numbers compared to the answers. Opposite sign. Positive 7, negative 7. Negative 9, positive 9. Negative 5, positive 5. Negative 3, positive 3. So do you see what the picture is here? Whenever you multiply something times a negative 1, what are you really doing? You are just changing the sign of the number you're multiplying it to. That's really what is happening every single time. And it happens that way every time. Okay, so now that we know this and we recognize this, we probably already knew it, but now that we recognize it fresh right now in our minds, let's go and look at the new types of problems. Okay, so there are 3 ways that we could be doing this work today. Okay, first of all, we're going to be subtracting expressions instead of adding them like we did up here. Remember, we added that right here. Now we're going to be subtracting there. So if you use models, you would have 5x plus 4. Here it is already written to you, 5x plus 4. Now we're going to subtract 3 x's out of there, so we'll take those and we'll throw them out of there. And we're also going to subtract 2 of these. We'll take them and we'll throw them out of there. So what have you got left? You've got 2x plus 2. Okay? This is not so easy to do when you've got some negative numbers added to this, because then we've got different colored negative x's here. We got red ones, and then we have red ones. These, anyways, it's kind of a procedure just to learn how to use the algebra tiles. It's pretty nice when you've got the same exact signs for your x's and your ones, but that doesn't always happen. But let's go and look at this another way, because this makes sense. This makes great sense when we go subtracting, but let's learn a procedure that works for every single way we do it. Okay, so remember when we stacked up those addition ones up over here before? Well, we're going to do the same exact thing here too, but we're going to be subtracting. So arrange them in columns. So we take the 5x plus 4 minus the 3x plus 2. Okay, now when you're subtracting here, you change signs, because that's just what our procedure is going to be. So what will this equation look like now? We're going to go and put it right down here. But notice, we change the negative, or the minus, to a plus, the positive 3x to negative 3x, because we're changing signs, and the plus 2 to a plus negative 2. Now we can go ahead and do this. 4 plus a negative 2 is really just 2. I've got 4 positives, 2 negatives. There we go. Hey, by the way, for some of you who are still worried about those integers, try this just like what I did here, and then take out your calculator, put in +4, plus a -2, and that negative's down on the bottom row on the right side by the enter button. Okay, that's where the negative is. And just double check your work. So please practice it still, because you still need to learn if you're having troubles with these. The rest of us, we're going to go through these quickly in our head, but those who need that extra verification of what they know, go stick it into the calculator, make sure. Okay, then over here in the x's, we've got 5 x's and we've got 3 negative x's. So we've got 2 more positive x's. Okay, there we go. Hey, look, we got the same exact thing, done a different way. Now this way is probably how I learned it in school. And so what we did know is that when we've got a minus in front of the expression here, we know that we're actually taking and multiplying it times a -1. So look at this. We've got plus a -1, because remember, minusing a number is the same thing as plusing a negative number. We've got to get that down in our thinking when we're doing our arithmetic here. So let's look at this line. So we know that when you times 3 times a -1, you're going to get a -3. Here it is, -3x. We know that when you take 2 times a -1, there's a distributive property. It goes here, and it distributes to here too. When we go take that -1 times 2, we're going to get a -2. There it is. So really, what does this look like now? Because now we've went and changed this. We've used this as a -1, and so now we've just got addition here. Do it like we did the last lesson from last week. Here it is. We've got 5x plus a -3x. Okay, we can do this. We got this. Okay, and you could even take off all these parentheses here and just recognize and go and get your similar different terms here, and you can go ahead and figure out that you've got 2x's there, and then here's our 4 and our -2, and we've got +2. Okay, so it's 3 different ways of doing it, but this right here is not going to be easy for us because I've never taught you the procedure for algebra tiles. They do that later on in school. They do a little bit more with it, and it will be difficult as soon as you have some negatives in there. Okay, so if you were minusing a negative or minusing a negative here, that's when we run into problems with algebra tiles. So when you look at these three methods, we got the same exact answer. These two right here were basically the same thing, but done in a different style. So you do what your brain likes. Okay, let's look at these 2 examples. Okay, and I would like you to try these 2. Okay, so please pause it and take an honest effort at both of these, and let's check your work. Okay, we've got 7x minus 5 minus the whole quantity of 2x minus 1. Now, I said it's the whole quantity, so that means that we need to do this sign change thing here, right? And so there we go. Okay, so -5 plus 1, you take the sign of the largest, which is the -5, and then you're going to take the difference of the 2, which would be a -4. Another way of looking at that again is that there are 5 negatives, 1 positive. How many more negatives are there? Okay, and then we got 5x here. Okay, so it's 5x minus 4, or plus a -4. Okay, and now let's look at this one. We got 6x minus 4, and then we've got minus 2x minus 4. Okay, let's change those signs on that bottom one. Only the bottom one you do that to. Okay, look at that. The +4, -4, those two cancel out because they're just 0. Okay, and then we've got 4 more positive x's than we have of negative x. So this is just 4x. That's lovely. Okay, moving along. Okay, what if you have some negatives inside the parentheses like this? Okay, like that 2x right there. What do you do then? Okay, well, let's look at that. We've got 3x plus 2, okay, minus a -2x plus 1. Well, let's go change those 3 signs. Okay, let me get my eraser here. Okay, we're going to change that to a minus. Change this one to a plus and a plus. There we go. So we've got positive 2, negative 1. Because remember, this is plus and negative. Okay, anyway, so we got one more positive, so it's a plus 1. Okay, and then we'll just add these babies up right here. We've got 5x. So when you think about that, 3x minus a negative 2x, you're going to get more. Okay, so let's look at this one. So why don't you try it, the same exact thing that we did right up there. Okay, and so pause this and let's go for it. We'll check your answers as soon as everybody's pretty much quit moving their pencils. Okay, I wrote my 2 quantities out already, so let's go for this. Okay, so we've got x minus 5, and then we're going to subtract positive 2x. I'll change that sign, right? Change those signs. Okay, I changed my 3 signs on the bottom. Okay, so we've got 4 more negatives than we do positives. And 2x plus 1x. Okay, that makes 3x. How'd you do? I hope you did good. Okay, next thing we've got here is that we've got to do some changing so that we're doing addition. Okay, that was nifty. Now we got 3x plus 1x, that makes 4. Excuse me, that's 3 plus 1 equals 4, a positive 4. And then we've got 6 plus 4 equals 10m. Okay, how'd you do? I hope you did fine. Okay, moving on to the next one. Okay, after working X hours Monday, Kay earned $9X. On Tuesday, she earned 7X minus $3. Plus $3. Write an expression that explains how many more she earned on Monday. So we're going to take 9X and we're going to subtract the 7X plus 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We got to change our signs again. So plus, negative, and then this right here being negative. Okay, so we get a 2x minus 3. Huh, interesting, huh? Okay, so it's so important for you to change all 3 signs down here, even when you have a partial term up here. You don't have a whole expression here, okay? So that's really important. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our assignment. Okay, so you've got this to do tomorrow. This right here is using those algebra tiles, using models. Notice our instructions says that you can use models if you want to. You would have to draw them out. We're not going to take them out. You would have to draw them out. But you're doing this exactly like we did before. I stack mine up, or else you could go and take them times a negative 1. So in this case right here, we've got 4x plus 1, right? And then you got a negative, so it's plus a negative, right? Plus a negative 1. Negative 1 times 2 is going to be a, negative 1 times 2 is going to be a negative 2x. Okay, negative 1 times 5 is going to be a negative 5, or plus a negative 5. Okay, so just a reminder that you could do it that way, or you could go and stack them up. Let's do one more where we are stacking them up. Here we go. We'll do 16. Okay, and I'm just starting them for you. I'm not finishing them. Got a negative x minus 2. Okay, then we've got minus, and then we've got a negative 3x plus 9. Okay, let's go through this. We've got to change our sign. So we're going to change this to plus, plus, and negative. Okay, so we've got negative 2 minus 9. That makes a negative 11, because remember, when you add a negative to negative, you get a bigger negative. Oh, gee, I just said I wasn't going to finish this. Okay, here we go. And so we've got a positive 3, negative 1. We've got 2 more positives than we did the negatives. So there we go. Double check my work. See how it goes. And you guys will be correcting this in the beginning of class tomorrow. Toodaloo!